Reagan's ex-advisor received a Russian passport. Former advisor to U.S. President Ronald Reagan, Suzanne Massie, officially became a Russian citizen. According to TASS, assistant to the Russian President Yuri Ushakov presented her with a Russian passport. The ceremony took place in the building of the presidential administration on Staraya Square. It was important for me to get Russian citizenship in order to continue working on my 7th book about Russia, Massie said. As her representative Baltazar Schaldenbrand pointed out, she received her passport from the hands of a man she knows well. She remembers Ushakov from his work as ambassador to the United States in 1998 to 2008. Massie asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to grant her Russian citizenship in May 2021. She did so during an interview with the NTV channel. "I have devoted many years of my life to bringing the peoples of Russia and the United States closer together. Today it is extremely important and necessary for me to stay in Russia to continue my work. If President Vladimir Vladimirovich finds an opportunity to give me Russian citizenship, it would be an honor for me," Massie said at the time. In late December, Putin granted her request. Susanna Massie was born in New York in 1931. She graduated from Vassar College and also studied at the Sorbonne and the Institute of Political Studies in Paris. From 1984 to 1988, she was Reagan's advisor on relations with the USSR. She is what the West calls the woman who stopped the Cold War. She convinced her leadership to stop looking at the USSR as an evil empire. In 2017, Massie gave an interview to RG, telling that ordinary Americans are not particularly interested in Russia, and the Russophobic hysteria is created by a narrow stratum of the political elite. Sending soldiers to the borders between the peoples is not a good starting point for a constructive dialogue, she said 5 years ago, but these words couldn't be better adapted to our times. Lukashenko gave a firm answer to the threats, and the mentoring tone of the U.S. responding to another round of threats, and the mentoring tone of the U.S. State Department, coming from the Potomac Coast in recent days. The president of Belarus made it clear that the Belarusian leadership would act in the interests of the state, no matter what they tell us, no matter what they scare us with. Appropriate statement, Al. They came to our diplomats in New York and threatened, if you bring the nuclear weapons back to Belarus, this and that will happen. You see, they take a mentor-like tone with regard to Belarus, said the president. We do not need any war, said Lukashenko. But the Americans with the hands of the Poles, Latvians, and personally encourage us to do it. We used to be the donor of security in the region. We have always been valued for it. Why are you pushing us in 2020 and making us the aggressors? In their terminology. Why was that necessary? And today they are threatening us. In his response to his Western opponents, the commander-in-chief clarified that you can't make things worse for the country. But if you want to bring us to the brink of an abyss, we have to defend the borders of our country the way we are supposed to. And we can do it, we will do it. And I do not even doubt it, said the Belarusian leader. He stressed that the West and, in particular, the EU should pay attention to their actions first of all. Why has the European Union curtailed cooperation on border issues? It was not us who went for this escalation of relations. We were just reacting, in fact. Therefore, we will act in the interests of our state, no matter what they tell us, no matter how they scare us, summarized Lukashenko. The U.S. called to consider any symptoms of the cold as a sign of Omicron infection. A person can contract a coronavirus infection, including the Omicron strain, within 2 to 14 days of exposure to infected people, and if in that time they develop cold or flu symptoms, they should immediately assume COVID-19 until proven otherwise. Chicago Health Department Commissioner Allison Arvadi made this call to the public, reports NBC. She said that if the disease is mild, a sore throat is the most common indication of Omicron infection. If this is the only symptom, a PCR test should be done and contact with other people should be limited, she said. Coughing, runny nose, headache and fatigue are also common symptoms of Omicron, but unlike the Delta strain, patients do not complain of a loss of taste or smell, said infectious disease specialist Catherine Pauling of Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center in North Carolina. In those vaccinated against the coronavirus, but who don't get the booster, symptoms can worsen to a deep cough, fever, and loss of strength, adds physician Craig Spencer of Columbia University's New York Emergency Medical Center. By far, the coronavirus strain Omicron is the most contagious, but also appears to be the least pathogenic to healthy people. Nevertheless, it is just as dangerous as Delta for people at risk: the elderly, hypertensive people, diabetics, cancer patients, etc. And the working-age population remains the main spreader of the virus because of the large number of contacts. In this regard, doctors recommend that all unvaccinated people do so, both to protect their own bodies and for the sake of those around them.